Welcome to Film and Page. I'm Dominic, and this is another episode of Road to Dune. So recently, Denis Villeneuve was interviewed for the Shanghai International Film Festival. And the interview is 1 hour long, so I listened to it twice, and I picked out 4 segments out of the interview that I thought was really interesting. And that's what's going to be in this video. Now, if you want to listen to the entire interview from start to finish, go over to the Secrets of Dune channel. He has the full interview over there, and I'll actually leave a link to that video in the description area of this video down below. So without wasting any further time, let's listen to what Denis Villeneuve has to say about Dune.
Yes, I'm working on a feature film, Dune, right now. We were about to finish some shooting. The movie was like almost finished, and as I was like, Dune is the feature film I'm working on right now has been made in a unusual way, which means that we made the main shooting, and then I edited that part of the movie, and I was planning to go back to shoot some elements later because I wanted to readjust the movie with I needed time, and it's a luxury that I had. So at the time I didn't know that there would be a pandemic, but it was like so when the virus hit North America as we were about to go back to do those elements. So the impact was that it crushed my schedule right now. I'll have to it will be a sprint to finish the movie on time right now because we were allowed to go back to shoot. I'm going back to shoot those elements in a few weeks, as we were supposed to shoot them earlier. And it meant also that I had to finish some elements of the movie like VFX and the editing, being in Montreal as my crew stayed in Los Angeles. And I will say that as a director, there's things that can be done remotely today with technology. VFX, all the supervision of VFX with some equipment is kind of easy to do from afar, that I felt comfortable to do. But editing, for me, the big lesson of this is that I thought that it would be possible to edit at distance, having my editor sharing both with computers being afar from one to the other, but I realize how much editing is it's like playing music with someone, and you need to be in the same room. I mean, there's something about the interaction, human interaction, the spontaneity, the energy in the room. I really missed not being in the same room with my editor right now. But I'm saying, as an artist, to edit my movie, not being in the same room as my editor is very, very painful. And I will maybe one of the reasons is that the editor is someone, the editor editing the movie is also a psychiatrist. I mean, he's the one who's dealing with my anxiety and my panic attack and my fears, and receive my joys, and it's like, just I think that it's in the future, if ever something like that happen again, definitely I will make sure that my editor is close to me. Yeah, editing is a very important part of the filmmaking process for me, maybe the most important. It's at a time where you rewrite the movie in some ways, meaning that when you make a movie, you have, of course, the screenplay, the shooting, and the editing. Each of them, you improve the story, but with editing, there's something about the fact that you have all the alphabet in front of you, all the words are defined, you have all the images, and there, you don't have to fight against sunlight or against winds or about an actor's headache. It's like there, okay, you have all the elements. And there's so much creativity. It's amazing how you can transform things, how you can create fear, joy, tension in the editing room. It's something that that's why I think that I'm a little bit traumatized by this working far away from my editor right now, I would say. The thing is that I read Dune when I was like maybe 13 or 14 years old. It's a book, frankly, that I came in contact with the book by coincidence. I remember the first time I saw the cover in the library. At the time I was like, I was a teenager that deeply loved reading books. I was reading a lot and I was always looking for new material. And at the time I was very good in science, and I was starting to be more and more curious and more amazed by science fiction. Dune is a very, very rich book. So when, having had that kind of sensibility, I saw that very beautiful book cover about a man with blue eyes. I still have the book. It's the original book. And I remember how I was. It's something about book covers, and I remember reading the back of the book, and it really struck me, and I dive into the book and I devoured it. I mean, I was like I read all the books of Dune. It's a saga. There are several books, and the world, the complexity, the beauty, the richness of the cultures, the way it was described, the adventure of a boy leaving his world and having to adapt himself to a new reality, having to adapt himself to a new culture, to have the humility to embrace that new culture and to see the value and to survive to those environments. I thought it was very moving at the time, and there was also for a young boy, I thought the book was saying about politics, about the economy, how the world are dealing with natural resources, exploitation of natural resources, destroying the environment. And for me, it's a very complex, powerful book that tells a universal story that is very strong, simple, and that approach very complex subjects and matter in the same time. So honestly, it became my favorite book at the time. I deeply loved it. I was like I felt in love, and it stayed with me through the years, and it stayed like a kind of something, an old dream. I was saying to myself, one day, I would love to bring this to the screen. As I started, and at the time, of course, I started to make movies, and I was making movies in Canada with smaller budgets. Science fiction was out of reach. But when I landed in Hollywood and I started to make movies with bigger budgets, and people kept asking me, what will you be your top dream project? What would you love to do? And I kept saying I would love to do science fiction, and the book, my goal would be to make Dune. And by chance, Mary Parent and Kel Boiter from Legendary got the rights, and as soon as they got the rights, they gave me a phone call. It was probably the shortest meeting I had ever had in my life. And we just said, should we make Dune together? And the answer was, yes, let's do it. It's like I felt at the beginning that we shared the same sensibility about the book and what the story should be. And it was, from the start, it was like, I would say, a very close relationship and a collaboration about this project that has been the biggest challenge in my life. Yeah. Yeah, casting is very, very difficult, very stressful for me. It's a moment where you will, and very exciting at the same time. It's because there's a lot of tension, because you need to incarnate a character that will bring the words and the life to a character. More important that in a way, you need to find muses. You need to find people that will triggers ideas inside you, people that will trigger your creativity, and it's so it's like it's a not an easy process. For Dune, it was it was a long process, but very interesting, because what I deeply love is that most of my first choices were available and agreed to jump in the project because of the nature of the project, because of Dune. You know, it's a saga that is a kind of legend, and people were, so it was not difficult to convince people to get on board. Timothée Chalamet was my first choice at the beginning. There was just one Paul Atreides on Earth right now for me, and there was one name on the list, and I met Timothée, and we both agreed spontaneously that we will work together. It was not difficult to convince Timothée. I choose Timothée for several reasons. First of all, he's a phenomenal actor. He's someone that has a lot of depth, someone that is very mature for his age, because Paul Atreides is a whole soul in a young body, and I need it. Timothée has that. First of all, he looks much younger than he is. Sometimes I look in the camera and he looks like 15 years old. It's very impressive how young he looks, and Timothée is maybe 23 or something. So that was very useful, because I had in the eyes something older, and he's already very mature for his age. So that contrast was very important. Also, he has features that for me reminds me of the old school Hollywood movie stars. He's a real movie star. He has that insane charisma. You put Timothée in front of the camera, and it's just an explosion. I mean, it's like the camera grabs him. He's super charismatic, and I needed that for Paul. Paul is a young man that at one point will need to rise people, to become a leader. He needs the charisma of a leader, and Timothée totally has that. He in a way. I don't know if maybe he knows it. He's a rock star, and I needed that kind of a charisma, and I needed someone that will be able also to portray the different layers of Paul. My friends in China, that I don't think I never revealed to because it's a bit embarrassing. But the thing is the truth is. I think that I started to direct movies as a kid. I had a lot of anxiety. I was a kid that was dealing with a lot of fears, and I was very afraid of the world. And as I was going to sleep, the only way I could sleep was to start to design stories in my mind, and to start to create the worlds, and to go every night. I remember clearly going through like episodes of movies that I was designing in my mind, and I think it's really the birth of this idea that stories could help me to deal with my anxiety and my relationship with the world, and started in childhood, I think, because very early on I was drawn to writing. I thought I will write at the beginning. I don't think I'm good enough for that, but I discovered the job of a director early on, and I started to be more and more obsessed with this idea of telling stories with a camera. Not having the chance to have a camera at the time, it was not but I was storyboarding. I had a friend that was very good. He was drawing, I was telling stories, and we were creating worlds like that very early on. And it's like it was a way to trying to understand the world around me, and to escape in the same time, probably. And so yeah, that's the way I started to make movies, I think.
You have the ability in your movies.
And by the way, I apologize, I will just say this. With that friend, Nicolas Kadima, when we were 12 or 13 years old or something like that, we started to do storyboards for Dune. I was dreaming. I was at the time. I remember reading the book, and we were Nicolas was. Still have those drawings of him drawing Paul Atreides on a sandworm, and we were already dreaming about that together when I was a kid.
Well, that was interesting. A lot of interesting stuff said there. Now, when he was talking at the beginning there about how the pandemic has affected the filmmaking process, I'm hoping that doesn't impact the quality of the film anyway. I hope we don't get any less of a film because of it. But I'm hoping they're all able to pull together and still pull off a fantastic job. And now the other thing is they haven't gone back to start doing those reshoots, so that might be a reason why we're not getting a trailer yet. Maybe he wants to finish all those reshoots, so when you get the trailer, what's in the trailer is in the film. It was also interesting to listen to him talk about why he cast Timothée Chalamet. That was pretty cool. But what I found really interesting about this interview was 2 segments of him talking about his background with Dune as a book and how he was a fan of the book. And I think this is something that is really, really important to making a lot of these movies, is if you have a director and you have writers that are fans of what they're doing. It's not just a day job to them. He's a huge fan of the book. He loves the source material. So it's someone you can trust, where we can see where you get directors on certain things and they don't care about the source material, and then you get the end product. Obvious example right now that I can think of off the top of my head is like Rian Johnson. You could tell he didn't really care. He wanted to do his own story. He didn't really care about Star Wars, and then you get The Last Jedi. And there's countless examples of that. So that's why I'm really glad Denis Villeneuve is on this movie and he's making this film. And it's cool to think that even when he was a kid, he was thinking about making a Dune movie, and it's always been a dream of his, and now he's got the chance to do it. Because Dune could have been a very, very different movie. We could have got a very different live-action movie if things had gone differently some years ago and Paramount actually got their act together and got their Dune movie made. With the directors there, one was Peter Berg was going to make it, and it was only going to be one film, so we probably just would have got another movie like the 84 Dune film. They would have had a director that wasn't a big, huge fan of the story, or didn't understand the story like Denis Villeneuve obviously does. So, fantastic interview. So that's everything I got to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I will see you at the next one. I'd like to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I appreciate you all in helping this channel grow. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded.